My father was a carpenter, and growing up, my brothers and I spent a lot of time with him on the job. Framing, roofing, sheetrocking, pouring concrete, finishing concrete, all the stuff that goes into building a home. And to this day, I love building stuff. I get excited just watching people build stuff. I could watch guys build this house all day long. And at the end of the day, when they finish their work, at the end of the project, when they finish the project, that sense of accomplishment over having done something, man, that's just a great thing. Imagine, if you would, that you were going to build your dream home. You scouted out the perfect piece of property, designed the home to fit the contour, saved up the down payment, secured your financing, lined up the contractors, and the day you were going to break ground, the county commissioner shows up on the scene, court injunction saying, you cannot build. You will not build. What do you mean I won't build? I've chosen the colors, I've laid out the pool, I've got it all. This is my dream home. You can't build. Imagine the disappointment. Imagine how angry you'd be. You'd planned this whole thing out. This is your dream home. But then this commissioner, he brings out another document. And he says, sir, however, we have decided that your son or your daughter, when they get old enough, they can build this home. They can build it in this location. All you have to do is sign on this line. Now, there'd be some disappointment, and you definitely want to make sure that he could really deliver on what he just promised. But let's say that you look at it, it seems legit. I wonder if you'd be able to get over your disappointment and discover some kind of joy over knowing that while you weren't going to get to live in the dream home, your son or your daughter, they were going to get to carry out your desires, the thoughts of your heart. Well, that's exactly what happened to King David in 1 Chronicles chapter 22. First, a little background on David. David was the king extraordinaire for Israel. If you were a Jew and you heard the word king, you would think David. If you heard the phrase king after God's own heart, you'd hear David. If you heard coolest king ever, you'd think David. He was that respected and that famous. And he was renowned for building a great kingdom in Israel. But David didn't just want to build a mighty kingdom. He wanted to build a temple for the God who had given him that kingdom. He wanted to build a place where people could worship that God, a place where they would remember what that God had done for them, a dream home that was magnificent in the eyes of all the neighbors. That was his dream. In chapter 22, though, we read how that was not to be. David tells his son Solomon how he had it in his heart to build a house for their God. But their God had come to him and said, you have shed much blood and fought many wars, so you are not to build the house for my name because you have shed much blood. See, even though children played King David games and they dressed up in King David costumes, David was not the perfect role model for your child. He had wiped out entire tribes and clans. He had fought a battle against one of his own sons. He had committed adultery. He had assassinated his mistress's husband. He had fought many wars and shed much blood. His history was so full of death that God wasn't going to allow him to build this dream home. It was almost as if God said, I don't want your history associated with this magnificent building dedicated to me. But with God's no, there was always a yes. God said to David, you will have a son. He will be a man of rest and peace. His name will be Solomon, and he is the one who will build a house for my name. He is the one, David, who will build your dream home. He is the one who will carry out your legacy. Have you ever stepped back and thought about what you're trying to build? I suspect many of us are trying to build kingdoms of all sizes and shapes, but I wonder if any of us have a heart desire to build something great for God, to build him a dream home, to build him a person or a place where people see Jesus, to build him a heart or a home that worships Jesus, to build a legacy. that will be continued by our children. What I love about David is that when he was told he wasn't going to get to build the dream home, he didn't just throw in the towel and quit. Instead, he kept the land and he secured workers. He brought in iron for nails and hinges. He supplied more bronze than could be weighed or cedar logs than could be counted. He committed more gold and silver than most of us will ever see. And he went to Solomon, his son, the son of his mistress turned wife, and said, Solomon, you're young and you're inexperienced, but I want this house to be magnificent. That's why I'm getting together all of the resources so that you'll be able to build a great home. How are you providing your children with the resources they need to build a great home for God? And as you consider the physical, are you also taking into account the spiritual? David did. He realized that all of the stuff he provided would be only as good as Solomon's ability to use them in a godly way. So he went to Solomon and he said, Solomon, I'm praying that God will be with you, and that He will give you discernment and understanding so that you will follow the law of the Lord our God. He realizes that all the stuff would not build the home of David's heart unless Solomon's heart belonged to God. And that, you might say, is the secret to building a house your children will continue. Give them hearts that belong to God. Give her a heart that hears repeatedly of Jesus' love and forgiveness for her. Give him a heart that learns of God's laws and desires for him. Give her a heart that sees God's love and forgiveness at work in your life and your circumstances. Give him a heart that wants to do with the things God provides great things. You know, this passage reveals more about God's character than we realize. While David's sin kept him from building the home of his dreams, it didn't keep him from building it through his son Solomon. In God's no, there's always a yes. And the yes's name is Jesus.